welcome to another episode of Assembly with Tej. My name is Tej Samani and I'm the founder of Performance Learning, and for the last decade I've been teaching a curriculum that I wrote, deploying my technology into just over 160 schools now. We've helped 64,000 students and trained just over 4,500 teachers in performance learning. Today's assembly, I'm going to focus on a challenge that, I'm going to be honest with you, I plagued my teachers with when I was in school. So if any teachers watching, I've spent most of my early childhood fighting you. I'm now spending most of my early adulthood apologizing to you. So on behalf of my younger self to now, I'm sorry for all the bad behavior. My wish for you in this episode is to be able to receive some tips from me and through all my episodes and my assemblies that I run on how you can help kids like me, basically disengaged, lazy, not bothered, not interested, and would blame you as the teachers and parents out there. I apologize on behalf of all of kids like me. It's not you, it's us. But I'm going to show you how you can help us so that ultimately you can help us get the best out of our ability, and therefore we can make life much easier for you. So today's assembly, I never give this stuff away. This is gold dust. So I want you to steal. That's right, I want you to steal my top 5 tips on how you can deal with those pupils who, let's face it, they do the work in class, but when they get out of class, they don't do the work. Right? I bet you can think of a couple right now who you just know the minute you set them work, they're not going to do it. And you often think, I know I'm setting you this work, but deep down, you know, and I know, it ain't going to get done. So, what do we do about it? That's what we're here for today for. So these are 5 steps that you can take straight away. I've written them down, and I'm going to run through each one side by side, and then give you an action plan on exactly what you need to do to turn, I reckon half the time it's about 25% to 30% of pupils in your class who just tend to drag the others down or tend to be the ones that cause all of the stress. And often you have to change how you teach for them. How do I know this? I was one of them. Step number 1, when they don't get it, is you give them a reality check. What do I mean by a reality check? So right now, the 2 points I've written down under reality check are really making sure that they understand the consequences. I mean, feel the consequences of their actions emotionally. Because intellectually, they haven't felt that much pain intellectually. They're happy with not getting it. So therefore, they'll just coast along. Right? But if they get it emotionally and what it would cause them if they carry on not getting it, that is what's going to get that leverage and hopefully get them to take action. And the way I do this, when I'm teaching, I often get quite bold in my approach, right? I'm pretty honest with them, and I give them a reality check. I literally list out the worst case scenarios of them not getting it. So here's what I want you to do. As a teacher, as an educator, as soon as this video is over, or even pause this right now, list out all of the worst case scenarios that you want to tell your pupils if they continue not doing what you're asking them to do outside of class. Tell them that and see how they respond. Step number 2. Step number 2 is really important. And you'll probably hear me say that about all the steps, but this is really important. Step number 2, I'm looking at their identity. Now, the reason they don't necessarily consistently execute on all the work that you've asked them to do is because they are not associating any form of failure if they don't do the work. Right? What do I mean by that? There's no sense of panic. There's no sense of urgency. They often say that fear is one of the greatest motivators. If they're not doing the work, they're not very fearful of failing. Now, I get asked this all the time, right? Especially with the amount of work that I do with pupils. They say, well, how can I motivate my child, whether it's a parent or whether it's a teacher? And I say, well, do you know what? Motivation isn't the answer. They will do more and they will work harder and more consistently if they fear failure. It's such a great motivator. And one that's very real in school. I failed many exams. Until I got to a point where I hated failing. And then I worked and worked and worked. Because I just could not associate myself as being a failure anymore. So have them shift their identity. How do you do this? Similar to what we spoke about in the last point about reality check, really focus on what it feels like, what they are going to experience, the consequences of failure. And I know it seems a bit brutal, okay? But it's the old carrot and stick. It always works. They are not associating enough failure to their lack of action, right? And their lack of listening to you when you ask them to do the work in between lessons. Have them really associate that. Have them close their eyes for 5 minutes and think of what failure will look like when they open that envelope. Trust me, I have been there and got the grades that they cannot get or have deserved to have gotten. All right? Moving on to step number 3. Structure. Now, I can tell you this. Through a decade's worth of research into why students fail and how to sustain and transfer academic progress, I can tell you now that in at least 80% of scenarios, they lack the structure on what they actually need to do to win. Because it's not given to them. They're not naturally I was never naturally talented in being able to structure my day. It didn't come to me. Right? I would naturally be unstructured because of who I was. Right? And often, similar pupils to me right now, what you can do for them is give them the gift of structure. Once they've got the reality check, once they've shifted their identity and really felt what it was like to fail, and really got to a point where they don't want to feel that failure, that's when you can help them form a structure. So, I've written here on my notes that if we do it together, will you do it? And that's the magic question. They're not fearing the work itself. What they're fearing is doing the work alone because they don't want to feel like they don't get it. So they'd rather not do the work and hand in a piece of work that is wrong. They'd rather not do it in the first place, which is an important distinction to make. So if you can work with them by setting a structure and doing it with them, I'm talking about doing the homework with them that you have set the others to do independently, so that they feel that they can actually do it. And that's where you eliminate the fear. In a couple of my next episodes, I'm going to talk about how you can isolate the fear. And I have this 5-step process where we talk about isolating the fear, eliminating the fear, because a lot of this is fear-driven. Fear of not feeling like they are successful. No one likes feeling like they can't get it. And right now, they're not doing the work because I guarantee you they're just not getting it. And they don't have the structure intellectually to be able to execute it. Okay? So, we've covered reality check, identity, structure, and the next one is hope. Give them a sense of hope. While you have taken them through a process of a reality check, and then associating failure, and then giving them a structure and showing them that you're in it for the long run, that you're vested in their education, that you want them to succeed, that them succeeding is you succeeding, that's when you can give them a 30-day plan, where you literally, day by day, carve out a plan for them to turn into independent learners and do it themselves. My final point, 5th point, is execution. Now, the secret to all of this, I found, is group buy-in. That's where, for the sake of the 25%, you have the rest of the students, 75%, who are getting it, support the 25%. And you get group buy-in. So with your 30-day plan, you ask the entire class to be able to agree to that 30-day plan. And as a team, you execute it. Now, I know, and you know, that your life, and I've been on the receiving end of this, and I've been on the giving end of this, is much easier when the whole class is moving in synchronicity and in flow, and most importantly, in collaboration together. So there you have it. They're my 5 steps. Quick check-in. We've got reality check, we've got identity, we've got structure, we've got hope, and we've got execution. It's all listed below, down in the notes section. So before I wrap up, Thank you very much for another session, for another episode of Assembly with Tej. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Hit that little bell icon on there so every time I release an episode, I can pop up on your phone as a reminder. I want to share all of my insights with you over the last decade. So hit that subscribe, hit that bell, and I'd be grateful if you can like this, comment, let me know how you found it, and share it with as many people as possible. Take care, and good luck with it.